This training video today is on the toggle FastGap die. This will be an assembly and disassembly video. This is the toggle FastGap die here. These are the tools that you'll need to disassemble the die and reassemble the toggle FastGap. Before disassembly, it's important to locate the toggle FastGap in the neutral position before disassembly. If you cannot put it in the neutral position for disassembly because of a broken stud or polymer in the FastGap system, toggle FastGap system, then you have to totally disassemble the system and remove the slide bar. For total disassembly, the first thing you want to do is remove the toggle cover, stainless steel toggle cover. We're removing the toggle stainless steel cover. The next disassembly procedure is to remove the retainer bar. This is the removal of the toggle retainer bar. After removal of the toggle retainer bar, we're going to remove the slide bar stops. As you can see, they're engraved right and left side of the die. We're going to remove these stop blocks. The next procedure is the disassembly of the toggle FastGap adjustment system. We'll remove the retainer bolts and retainer housing first. Before removal of the spool, there is races and bearings on both ends of the spool. These races and bearings take a special lubrication that we will show you during the assembly portion of the video. Okay, we're removing the spool. There's one race on this end of the spool and needle bearings and race on the inside of the indicator housing. The next procedure, we'll need to remove the indicator pointer. That is a set screw that tightens it against the actual lip adjustment stud. Next procedure is the removal of the end plate. In the end plate there's a cartridge heater. The cartridge heater would have to be removed. We're going to remove the electrical cover over the cartridge heater. The next procedure would be to remove the end plate bolts. The end plate will rest on the stud once the bolt is removed. And now we're going to remove the end plate and the cartridge heater. The next procedure is to remove the hex head toggle mounting bolts here. The whole slide bar toggle link assembly with the stud can be removed at this point. Next procedure would be to remove the toggle links from the slide bar. For maintenance purposes, you'd want to remove all the toggle links from the slide bar. For cleaning the slide bar, you'd want to hand clean it so you do not remove the Teflon coated surfaces. Teflon coating. And at this point, the stud can be removed. Loosen the set screw. And the stud can be removed from the slide bar for replacement or cleaning. After the toggle FastGap assembly has been removed from the die, the toggle link tang needs to be cleaned, the hinge pocket needs to be cleaned, and the slide bar slot need to be totally clean and polymer free before reassembly. This is the toggle FastGap disassembly, all the parts of the toggle FastGap system. Before reassembly at the EDI factory, a small amount of dry graphite lubricant spray is applied to the surfaces. Okay, for the reassembly portion of this video, after the dry graphite spray has been applied, we apply a thin coating of anti-seize lubricant in the slide bar slot. Lubricating the slot with anti-seize. Apply a little lubricant on the threads of the linkage mounting bolt. This is the shoulder bolt for the linkage system. After the linkage system is assembled, then the stud can be assembled. Apply a light lubricant, anti-seize, on the threads of the stud. Okay. Then with the set screw, lock the set screw down onto the stud. Before assembling the slide bar into the die, the sides, bottom, both sides and the bottom should have a thin coating of anti-seize put onto the slide bar before it is installed into the die. Okay, this will be the installation of the slide bar into the die with the toggle assembly. Push it into the slot, and then you will line up your toggles with the toggle hinge, flex hinge, and install the toggle hex head mounting bolts. Before installing the hex head toggle link mounting bolt, apply anti-seize to the shaft and the threads on the mounting bolt. Snug mounting bolts down till they seat against the die. And that's the proper installation of the mounting bolt. It's important to note that when installing these hex head bolts, when the shoulder of the bolt bottoms out against the die body, that's all the tighter the bolt needs to be. Before installation of the end plate, it is important to apply infracoat heater compound. It's a heat transfer compound onto the heating element before it goes into the end plate itself. We need to apply a thin coat of the heat transfer compound, infracoat. Okay, before installing the cartridge heater, we need to install the heater push slug into the end plate, and then we can install the cartridge heater. And the end plate. And then install mounting bolts. It's important to note when installing the end plate that you position the end plate so the end plate is in the center of the mounting hole for the stud. So lift up the end plate and center onto the stud. And then of course reference the EDI manual for the proper bolt torque specifications that is in the EDI manual. The next procedure is to install the wire cover for the heating element on the end plate. One caution is to make sure that the wire is not pinched in the plate when you're tightening the plate onto the die. Okay, the next procedure is to install the indicator pointer and the adjustment indicator housing. You should note that during the installation here that the set screw for the pointer needs to make sure it's in this location during the installation. If you install it incorrectly, it'll be on the wrong side. You won't be able to tighten the set screw down. So you want to put on the indicator pointer, leave it loose at this point in time, and then install the housing and slide it over the pointer and install the housing. And then you will tighten down the indicator pointer at the neutral position in the die. The neutral position is shown on the scale, and on the scale it is the center line, is the neutral position in the die. After installing the indicator housing, we're going to put a light coat of anti-seize lubricant on the threads of the adjustment stud. Okay. Before installing the spool, there's special bearings and races. There's a race in here, and here's a needle bearing and race. You apply Krytox grease. You should note that you should wear rubber gloves when applying the Krytox grease to the bearing. And these bearings should only have Krytox grease, not anti-seize lubricant. Coat the bearing, both sides of the bearing. Okay, with the race already placed in this housing, I will put the race side down and bearing side up onto the spool, and I will thread the spool into the indicator housing until the spool seats up flush against the indicator housing. You may have to wiggle your housing around, and once your spool is seated flush, that's all the farther you tighten it at this point in time. The next procedure is to install the second set of bearings and races on the outer side of the spool. And again, these bearings need to have a coat of Krytox grease applied to both sides of the bearing. Do not use anti-seize. Use high temperature Krytox grease. Okay, race, bearing, and race, and we will install this on the outer side of the spool. Next procedure is to install the spool retainer housing. And again, apply a thin coat of anti-seize on the thread of the mounting bolts. I left all bolts loose until all of them are installed, and then we will snug all of them in, snug them up, and again reference the EDI manual for the correct torquing. Point, you'd want to set your pointer to the neutral position on the scale here, because you're not in a push or pull mode. You're in what we call the neutral position. So with this pointer loose, you locate your wrench into your scale and move your scale over until it's located onto the center. And then you will tighten down the pointer so it stays in that location. I want to note that if there customers having problems adjusting the toggle FastGap system, it could be because the lubricants are dried out in the system here, in the threads, in the bearings, or there could be dirt or polymer down in these locations and around the toggles that would hinder it from moving. If it moves with difficulty, that's when the toggle FastGap needs to be taken apart, cleaned, re-lubricated, and reassembled. The next procedure is to install the stop blocks for the slide bar. So the stop blocks go in this location. I want to note that they are engraved right hand side and left hand side. Okay. And the stop blocks are designed so you don't overflex the FastGap system. The slide bar will slide up against the block and stop. The next procedure is to install the toggle retainer bar. And again, apply a small thin coating of anti-seize lubricant on the threads of the mounting bolts. Again, please reference the EDI manual for the correct torque value on the bolts. The next procedure is to install the retainer cover, stainless steel cover. There is a groove cut into the die lip for the cover to slide into the groove. And again, use a small thin coat of anti-seize on the thread of the bolts. I'm tightening the last mounting screw. I want to point out in this video we did not install safety wire. These are safety screws, and safety wire should be installed through these screws. It's for this, so the screw, if it ever loosen up, would not fall into the chill roll stack. Safety wire should be installed. After full assembly of the toggle FastGap system, now we're going to close the system. You can see on the scale here the direction to close it. You can see the die lip closing. And then we're going to open the die lip. That's full open location. This is the full closed location. Your FastGap, toggle FastGap should work smoothly. If it does not work smoothly, it either was not assembled correctly or there's polymer or dirt in the system causing it not to operate smoothly. This completes the disassembly and assembly portion of the toggle FastGap system. These were the tools and lubricants used for the assembly portion and disassembly portion.